here we are. Roxy, do you have any questions?
I do have questions for you, my beloved. I just had to turn on the camera. All right. So, the first question. What is A Course in Miracles?
I'm glad you asked. So first of all, I want to say that this is the form it takes. It's a book. And what it is a training of the mind. It is a spiritual psychology, right? So it really is a device, a teaching device. So A Course in Miracles, the curriculum really is conceived and explained step by step. So as I said, it is a book and it is divided mostly in 3 parts. The first part of the book is a text. The text is kind of the foundation for us to understand how the mind is working and its power. So that's how it's kind of very similar to Science of Mind, the power of the mind. It is very Christian in its terminology, very Buddhist in its content, and Jewish by the fact that a Jewish woman was a scribe of this course. Her name was Ellen Schuckman, and she worked at the the Columbian University in New York with Bill Thetford. William Thetford was her boss, and together they were working and they were realizing that it's, not working, that cooperation. So the course came about that. So the text is really, imagine that you're going to the doctor and the doctor tells you what's wrong with you. Why you're not feeling good, why you're feeling depressed or anxious or isolated or maybe physical illness. So he's explaining to you the cause. And the Course in Miracles is very, very strong from the beginning to say that the mind is always cause. Body is effect. So that is the foundation, the primal foundation of this course, understanding that the mind is cause. Then on that prescription of the doctor, you will see what you need to do, the medicine you need to take in order to change that. And one of the strong medicine from A Course in Miracles is forgiveness. Understanding the true meaning of forgiveness, which is kind of different than the Judeo-Christian way that we have maybe learned. And then at the end of the prescription, it will tell you how you're going to experience yourself, what the healing is going to feel like. The second part of A Course in Miracles, in the form, is the workbook. The workbook consists of 365 lessons, 1 lesson for each day. And that is the medicine. That is, by doing those lessons, it's the same as taking the medicine. It is retraining our mind. So first there is a undoing. The Course says, love is what we are. We cannot add anything to be more loving. We were created as love eternally, and nothing can change that. So the aim of A Course in Miracles is to undo the false belief about ourselves, others, and life itself. So we can remove those false beliefs for the love to be revealed. So the Course is really about removing the block to the awareness of the love that we are. And then there's a manual for teacher. And that is really the teacher of God are really people who are choosing love as a path, as a means to express who they are. So the mystical part of A Course in Miracles will be the remembering of our oneness with love, with God, with life itself, that life is good, that life is our life now. And if we are not in that experience, something has gone wrong. For love is a natural way of being. A miracle is a mean by which we can undo that error. A Course in Miracles calls sin an error, that it can be corrected. There is no need for punishment or hellfire. We just choose to think differently so we can see things differently.
Perfect. Oh, it's fascinating. So how did this book come to be?
Okay, so we were talking about Ellen Schuckman and Bill Thetford, her boss. So Ellen Schuckman was employed, and Bill was her boss. And their job was to do research in psychology at this great university in Columbia. And they were fighting all the time. They could not see things in the same way, how to go about and what would be healing. Of course, they were studying Freud. And they were well, no, that's okay. They did some good stuff there. And but Ellen Schuckman was, like I said, she was a Jewish woman, and she was brilliant. When you think about this, at the time that we're talking about in the 60s, she was hired as a woman, Jewish, in one of the higher prestigious universities we have in this country. And so that tells a lot about her. And Bill also was brilliant because he was at the head of that department himself. So they were having always problem communicating with each other. She was an extrovert and he was an introvert. And they were having problem between them, between the different departments at Columbia, and between the different universities. So there were a lot of competition. Not unlike what we know here in our own families, or, between our friends. And so one day, they were to go to a meeting, and Bill, who never speak more than a sentence at a time, said, I can't do that anymore. I cannot go back into another meeting where we'll be fighting and attacking each other. And he said, it's pointless. And they were surprised that he spoke so much. And then she turned around and she said, you're right, Bill, there must be another way, and I'm going to help you. And that, of course, in Miracles says, is a holy instant when there were a fight, and even for a moment there is peace towards a common goal. We invite the spirit of love, the spirit of peace. In that invitation, their life changed, not so much on the outside, they still bickered and things like that, but Helen started to have vision, she started to have dreams. And one day she heard a voice that says, take note, this is a Course in Miracles. She did not like that at all. She thought she was schizophrenic. So she went to Bill and she said, this is what's happening. And he said, well, you're not schizophrenic. He said, just take notes. And she was scared because she says, I don't want to lose my job. I don't want anybody to know that. What if I lose my mind by doing that? So he convinced her to take the note and that he will help her through the process. So she went home and she closed all the curtains and make sure the doors were double locked, etc. And she started taking notes. And she realized that she didn't have to be in a trance, or she didn't have to lose her mind. It was very natural. She was hearing that inner voice, and she was taking notes. Now, remember, she called herself an atheist, and the voice is the voice of Jesus to that atheist Jewish woman. She thought she was losing her marbles, right? So anyway, so she took notes, and it was very enticing to her because it was very intelligent. And she was taking a lot of notes, and Bill was taking, how do you say when you type in the machine?
He was transcribing.
Yes, he transcribed it for her. And here comes a collaboration with those two people who could not work together. And it took them 10 years to put down this beautiful beautiful writing, right? And so that's how it come about, and
Okay.
right.
Wow, awesome. Well, I have a couple more questions.
Sure.
So what does it say? What's this is a thick book, so
Yes, so in 2 minutes I'm going to translate 1,000 pages,
yeah,
right?
no, she's going to give
I
us
can do that.
a highlight.
Okay, the first thing the Course says is, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Oh, what does that mean? That means that only that which is real, eternal, exists. The rest is fiction of a mind. Fantasies, illusions. What is real is God. What is real is that we are the extension of God. What is God? God is love. God is joy. God is peace. God is abundance. God is wholeness. God is oneness. And so are we. When we do not have that experience, we are not in reality. We are an illusion, in fantasy. And we project that onto the world, onto people. Right? So, A Course in Miracles says that this world that we project, that is not in alignment with truth, is the reason we experience all the sickness in our mind. That is then translated sometime in physical illnesses. So it says, if it's not love, it's not real. How do we know then it's not love? When we are not at peace. Peace is really a foundation, the first step towards this mystic experience that we would like to have, to remember our oneness. First, we must be at peace. And so the Course in Miracles is explaining step by step all the obstacle in our mind that is not allowing us to experience peace. Our attack, our defenses, seeing other people as separate than ourselves. Thinking, for example, oh, my daughter is perfect and I want to do everything for her, but we don't care that other children are starving, for example. We don't see the sameness. It's okay for me to be well, but it doesn't bother to me what's going on somewhere else. I don't see the connection here. But we really are like the 5 fingers of a hand. If one finger has gangrene, it's going to affect the wholeness, the whole hand. We need to understand that we are not single, individual, not related to one another. Right?
Yes.
So forgiveness is the means by which we can undo all that. Guilt is what glue the world of illusion and separation together. Forgiveness is a thing that removes that, so we can move from an experience of separation to an experience of sameness, from the nightmare of sickness, disease, lack and limitation, to an experience of happiness and sameness, until such a time that we are ready to really understand that what we are is spirit, and that spirit is eternal.
Perfect. That's lovely. Okay, so how can the Course in Miracles help me in my life, or anyone in their life, and how did it help you?
Well, the Course is kind of self-explanatory in a way, because, you know, what we all want is to be happy. We want to be at peace. We want to live a simple life, a gentle life. We want to experience the beauty around us. And unfortunately, I could say that very few of us do. You know, there's always some kind of conflict. There's always, we wake up and we think about our bills and our relationship in the family. Some think it's not working, or the body aches, or even the weather. Sometimes we don't even agree. We're not even at peace with the weather, right? And so, but most importantly, what the Course has given me is a sense of worthiness and a sense of adequacy. That who I am is beautiful. I love who I am. I love who I am. And I did not feel that way before. Growing up, I really did not like me. And I didn't understand why, but it was because of all the false belief that I had received about myself, that my ego self, my personal thought system, attached itself to. I attached myself with that belief system that I am not good enough. Maybe because I saw some girls who were so beautiful on magazines and that was not me, or whatever the reason why was. Maybe I did something and my mother said, "You're bad." Even though maybe I was not. Or maybe I was acting that way. So the personal belief system of ego loves to hate and hates to love. And I grew up really not being true to myself, forgetting who I was. A Course in Miracle, by doing the training of my mind, retrained myself to see things differently, to see that I was not at the effect of the past. Each moment I could choose again. Each moment I could choose love. And it gave me step-by-step ways to do that. And I remember the day where I was, when for a moment I remembered, I am love. It was so beautiful. And the reason I could remember is because I had retrained myself to extend love. I was at peace because I had trained my mind to choose peace instead of being right. I could choose peace instead of this. So slowly, it was a practice. I was in the right environment to practice that. And it's an everyday practice, but it has changed my life from lack and limitation to abundance. I got married, I had a beautiful house, I have a beautiful daughter. I was in the US, which I had dreamt since I was 10 years old. And so I made that happen by the grace of God, and all my dreams came to pass. Then I had to learn that there was more than that. There was a communion with God and allowing the Spirit. So the Course in Miracle, through its training, not only teaches us to choose peace, but we are not alone. It is training us into listening to the voice, the internal teacher within us, which is called the Holy Spirit. Everybody, that's the Holy Spirit calling me. So really the most important thing from the Course is one, to retrain our mind to who we think we are, to see the world differently, and to listen to the internal voice within us. All of us has this connection to something that is bigger than our ego self, than our limited self. The body is limited, our spirit is not. And that's where the creative process comes. So wherever I am, I ask, let me know where to go, what to do, what to say, and to whom. And I have used that when I needed to find a doctor, when I needed to buy a house. Maybe better done with the husband, but that's okay. I had to put that in there. And it led me to this church like a few months ago, and I'm very pleased about that. So it can help us to do anything. We're never alone. There is a part of a mind, the reasoning mind, that can always choose love instead of fear. So that is the Course in Miracle. It's a journey from fear to love, from lack and separation to oneness, in every single aspect of our life. It is not lofty. It is lofty in its theory, but it is a practical course for everyday situation. And it brings us to that experience of peace and happiness.
Oh, thank you. Now, we're going to open this up to any questions. Does anyone have any questions Go right ahead.
Well, first I wanted to say that I've heard that Mrs. Schulman, dedicated a certain amount of time before she went to work, like 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. or something every day to do that transcribing, and
Yeah,
that was really wonderful.
right. I'm not sure when she was doing it, but yes, it took a huge amount of time, and it took 10 years. She kept receiving, So in the beginning, she had to adjust to that voice within, and she had a lot of questions. And yes, it was a lot of work. And the collaboration with the two of them made it possible.
And then I wanted to also ask, could you give a specific example of a time for you or someone else that you know where they were in a situation and then what thought they chose to do or however they took the next step?
Well, there's so many, but let's talk about a few years ago, a doctor thought that I had ovarian cancer. And no part of me believed that. It was a time in my life where I was actually very active in my practice. So I felt very connected to the spirit within, and I could not, it just didn't speak to me. So they keep doing tests for 6 months, and I still didn't believe. And one day, the doctor called my husband at work and said, "You need to bring your wife." It's like the 60s. Oh Lord, have mercy on us. Anyway, so you need to bring your wife, and right away. So my husband left work, picked me up, and we went to the doctor, and he said, blah, blah, blah. And so I said, I don't believe. I don't believe, and I have faith in what I believe. And he said, well, I'm glad that you have faith, but you also have a 10-year-old daughter. And I would like you to go and make an appointment at Cedar in Los Angeles and do what needs to be done. So I decided, okay, they dingle my daughter, and I kind of hesitate. So I went, I made the appointment with the doctor. I had absolutely no idea what the process entailed. I didn't do any research, I didn't do anything. I just went there to please them, but I had no idea. While I was about to be put under, there was a woman next to me. We just had curtains that separated us before the operation, the surgery or whatever. And so she was in so much fear. She was screaming, she was scared. So I said, I need to go within so I don't let her take me into that experience. So I went within, and that's when I heard, they're not going to see anything. Ask them to sign a paper that if they don't see anything, they cannot remove your ovary. I didn't even know they were going to remove my ovaries. So I asked my husband, and I said, I need to sign a paper. Unbeknownst to me, within a minute, the paper was in front of me. I didn't even know such paper existed. So I signed it, and I was already being counted down to 10. When I arrived to the room, I was maybe at 8, and I saw myself in this white room. It felt like, a slaughterhouse kind of, because it was all white and clean, and there was nothing. And I saw myself as if my arms were on the side, and I said, wow, that's a crucifixion. And then I was gone. When I woke up, the doctor said, congratulations, your liver is great, blah, 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 but I had to remove your ovary. She said, because we could not see anything. And instead of being upset, I just said to myself, she said, we took the ovary and we cut it in half because we could not see anything. And then in the middle, there was a tiny, tiny calcified cyst. And she said, so we needed to know because we could not see anything. And I didn't say nothing to her, but to myself I said, oh, she found my doubt. So that's one way where you can listen to Holy Spirit. I did have a little doubt, so that's okay.
So the fact that you had signed the paper and they disregarded it, did you have to go through much forgiveness about that?
No. Right away, I knew she did the best as a doctor. That was her job. She wanted to save my life. And then I felt that if she discovers something, it will help other women. And I don't think I've been affected by none of that.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Well, oh, you have a question?
Do you feel the more you practice, the more you attract what is meant to be as opposed to what is not meant, you know?
Yes, absolutely. What is your name?
Catherine?
Catherine. Yes, absolutely. On the other hand, we have to be, there are many levels of consciousness. As science of mind, for example, we could say we have the 4 levels of consciousness. Life is happening to me, which would be the victim consciousness. Then you have life is happening by me, where you gain some control. And that's where kind of the secret and the law of attraction, where you start to attract more beneficial things to you. And then there's life is happening through me. Sometimes things happen in our lives where we do not see the benefits of it at the moment. And it feels like it's not good. Because we have a tendency to judge everything as good and bad. A Course in Miracles will say it's either real or unreal, right? So anything can be used as a means for healing our mind. So sometimes things, circumstances have to be taken away from our life because we are not using them as a means for healing, but to hurt ourselves. For example, you can have children playing with scissors, and the mother is going to remove the scissors from the child because she knows he's going to hurt himself. And the child feels like it's a sacrifice, can get mad, he doesn't understand that it's for its own. So yes, sometime in Kingdom 2 we have the law of attraction and that happen, but the Course can take us to a higher even level of awareness.
And what's the difference between 2 and 3 again?
Oh, okay. So that's... Yes, so you have Kingdom 1, which are not real, they are just symbols to help us navigate, right? The consciousness. Consciousness, number 1, that's from the Science of Mind, by the way, that's not a Course in Miracles. Science of Mind will say, number 1 is victim, life is happening to me. Kingdom 2, life is happening by me. Again, control through spiritual practice. And for that, I have to let go of blame, shame, resentment, anger, all those good stuff, right? That allows us to move to the Kingdom 2. Kingdom 3 is life is happening through me. Meaning now we have developed a sense of connection with our higher self, with the spirit. And we ask for guidance. Now we're putting ourselves in the service of spirit. In Kingdom 2, it's almost like using spirit as Santa Claus. Give me the child, give me the, and that's okay. We cannot go to 10 years old before we're 9, so that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. We just cannot be stuck there. We will feel sick, actually. So, Kingdom 3 is life is happening through me. I'm giving, let me know where to go, what to do, what to send to whom. We ask for guidance in all things. In order to get there, we have to let go of that which we had attained in Kingdom 2, which was control. We have to let go of control. That's what is called surrender. We are surrendering to spirit. To our ego self, that can be frightening, losing control. We have to trust that it is for our greater good and the greater good of all. It is part of the evolution of our mind. And Kingdom 4 is life is happening as me. I am that I am, I am. I am love, I am life, I am spirit. And that's where the true attraction is. That's where there is no separation anymore. It's not something outside of you that is working through you. You are that spirit, you are that love, you are that peace, you are that joy. Yes.
I'm thinking that you don't necessarily, like, your whole being may be on this level generally, but you might have little tastes of the different levels.
Yes, we're going to be traveling the ladder.
All day long.
Yes. Yes, some beings, like we would suppose people like Jesus and I don't know, I was not there, so I cannot say that. But there are some beings who stay longer. Some of them, like Jesus, may have been constantly in that awareness and consciousness. I really don't know. But for us, mostly it will be holy instants, moments where the veil is being lifted. And then it becomes a present memory for us to live with. Okay?
Is there a place where life is happening for me?
That would be kingdom 2. For me and by me is pretty much that. Yes.
Okay.
So that's where you gain control of your life. When you use the power of your mind, rather than feeling life is happening to me, you realize, oh, cause and effect. You know, my thoughts dictate my experience. Good.
So, just for you to know, every Wednesday, with the exception of the second Wednesday of every month, this beloved teacher is here from 7:15 to, what do we go to?
8:30,
8:45. And we go through the Course in Miracles, and that's here every Wednesday except the second Wednesday of every month. So please, if you want to know more about it, visit our website. We have some flyers about the course. It's called the A Course in Miracles study group. So that's going to be a constant thing every Wednesday, so you can get your course on, okay? Yeah. So to speak. So I'd like everyone to give Muriel a wonderful applause.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful talk. Thank you so much. And then we are going to continue on with a song. Oh yeah, you can get that. We'll get a song from Isha and David. Yes, David Campos.
Is it enough? Yes, this is fine. Thank you.